Hi everyone, welcome to Not Only Diet Talk, special episode sponsored by HL Supermeal. Alright, so today we're going to discuss again related to Sarcopenia and also Fortified meal. But then for today's episode, as you guys can see, it's only me. There's no Shenji today. But for this episode, we are gonna dive deeper about micronutrients related to Fortified meal. And also at the same time, we will debunk some myth about sarcopenia and also aging. Again, I just want to say thank you so much to HL Supermeal for sponsoring our special episode. We will explore further the benefits of fortified milk today and talk more with our special guest, which I will introduce to you guys later on. So, other than that, at the same time, we're going to also highlight the benefit or the health benefit related to fortified milk, related to bone health, muscle preservation. And I believe that all of you have been listening or seeing a lot of our posts and our previous podcasts related to sarcopenia, related to fortified milk, what are the differences. But there are some of it that we're going to talk again, just to make sure that we over-communicate about this matter. Because I personally think that as a dietitian, it's a very important information for us to know, especially as a young person, about sarcopenia. So those are the things that we're going to be talking more. As you guys can see, there's a lady beside me today. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm introducing you guys to Fatin, Keri. Everybody knows her, right? Yeah. So Fatin, Keri is a nutritionist, a clinical nutritionist, in fact, right?
Haven't yet, but soon to be. Very soon.
Be. Yeah, she's actually finishing her master's, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and also will be publishing her thesis very soon. And she's gonna be our guest speaker today to talk more about our topic today. But maybe before we go further into it, I'll just give the floor to Fatin to introduce herself.
Thank you, Ameerul.
You're welcome.
A very good introduction for today's podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm nutritionist Fatin Keri. Currently, I'm undergoing my studies, postgraduate studies. Other than that, I also doing a freelance where I work with wonderful companies on promoting healthier habits. And then I think about more work stuff you can check out on my Instagram profile to know more. And lastly, most importantly, why I'm here today is to help Malaysians to improve the nutrition literacy among our citizens, hopefully.
Right. That's awesome. I think my MyFinDiet first encounter with Fatin is 1 year ago probably, where we were doing some content and everything. And one thing that I noticed about Fatin is that she never changed her value about that nutrition literacy.
Yeah, because I think this is like the channel that doesn't really embark our nutritionists and dietitian roles yet. So I feel like it's very happy to see a lot of more opportunities for nutritionists and dietitian to be more visible and accessible to the people.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. So when we get to know about Fatin already and basically, this is a compulsory question that we ask every of our guests. So since you became a clinical nutritionist, right? What is your personal nutrition principle that you hold?
Okay, nutrition principle. That sounds formal, right?
Yeah, very formal, right? Yeah.
I guess what I believe is what I see from our Malaysians is when it comes to diet, people think that it is something very restrictive. So what I want to bring as a nutritionist, I want to help people to see that as something that is enjoyable and also sustainable, because we are not going to do this for a short term or like any phases, but it is something that we want to ensure people have this kind of lifestyle. Their healthy lifestyle. So I think healthy eating isn't about restricting yourself from foods that you enjoy, your favorite food, but how to include your favorite food into your diet and make it a healthier option every day that you still can choose, but in moderation.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Especially in Malaysian context, right? Because I'm not sure if we can really change our food entirely, right? Because it has been like our culture, our tradition, and we are also so proud that Malaysia is food heaven, right?
But we can change our mindset.
Yeah, we can change our mindset. Yeah, I think that's make a lot of sense in our context. Okay, so I think the conversation today that we want the audiences and also the listeners to have something in your mind is to know like how can actually fortified milk have that additional benefits to our body, related to the micronutrients, because we know that fortified milk are enriched milk with certain nutrients, right? Like more protein, calcium, and stuff like that. But now we want to go deeper into the additional benefits of it. And I think that's the problem statement or something that we want the audiences to know. At the end of this episode, this is what you actually will get. Okay?
True.
All right. So basically, Fatin, differentiating regular meal and fortified meal. And to me, right, honestly, we know meal as a meal, right? You know, like many different kind of meals. But then fortified meal could be new to people who is outside of nutrition field. So maybe you just want to start. We want to start the discussion by differentiating regular meal and fortified meal. Maybe you can just explain further.
Before that, I think I want to extend that idea where you say it is new. I think it is actually not new, but when you go to the supermarket, you cannot actually differentiate where is the fortified meal, where is the regular meal, because it doesn't really state it out clearly that is fortified meal. So you need to educate yourself on which meal is actually the fortified meal. So in terms of that, to directly answer the question, usually when it comes to choosing the meal, people don't go often either it's regular meat or fortified meat, but people want what is the healthiest meal for them to consume. Because first we need to know what we want and what actually fulfill our dietary needs. So I usually guide my clients to, of course, you review the nutrition labels, and this is also how you can see whether it is fortified meat or regular meat. So regular meat is often referred to the low-fat meat, full cream meal, the skim meal, and the fortified meat is actually this kind of mix too. But then you can see the difference when you read through the nutrition labels. The labels are so much different in terms of the length, actually.
Oh, you mean like
that is the length of the table.
The
because
list, right?
list, yes, the list of the tables. Because for the regular meal, they might also contain added micronutrients, but not as lengthy as the fortified meal. For fortified meat, they tend to focus more on the added micronutrients such as calcium and vitamins. When we are talking about these two ingredients, it is actually differ based on the context of the population in that country. For example, in Malaysia, people want to add more calcium and vitamins because this is something that we lack in our population. So that's why our fortified meat focus more to this, to cater the demand from our population. And my experience with clients who are more familiar with the fortified meal shows that it is especially popular among those who are looking to improve their health needs. Meaning if you are just want to get the meal, you might not really focusing on seeking any fortified meat. You just like low fat, full cream and everything, right? So for fortified meat, usually first is the parents who want to boost their children's need. For example, children who are having like stunting issues, like that. And then second is for those elderly individuals who want to manage their muscle mass. And then the third one is the athletes who want to
more protein.
Yes, more protein and also to support their activity levels.
Wow. All right. Okay. So yeah, I think pretty much Fatin covered, how to differentiate regular meal and also fortified meal. What are the nutrition profiles? The very simple way that I like about Fatin saying it just now is in terms of the list, right? It's very easy to differentiate it. And I think it's also like the word that I usually like to say to differentiate fortified and also regular meal is that it is enriched. Yeah, it's enriched with certain micronutrients. So maybe we want to emphasize again to audiences, Fatin, what is fortified meal? Again, like many times maybe people have heard about this, but yeah, maybe you just want to emphasize again what is fortified meal.
Okay, for the fortified meal, it's actually defined by what I said just now. But in terms of the calcium and vitamins that I mentioned just now, maybe we can elaborate more in terms of what kind of vitamins that we have. So instead of calcium, we also have the added micronutrients by the vitamins. So the vitamins that supports the absorption of the calcium, you know what vitamin is that?
I think you're testing my knowledge now. Oh my God, I'm insecure now.
So usually it pairs with the vitamin D. So it will boost the calcium that we need. And then calcium, we go first with the calcium. So calcium is usually essential for the bone health. So this is why most that people trying to seek more calcium is from the elderly population. This one is aligned with our topic today about the sarcopenia. Okay, next is the vitamin A. Vitamin A is the one that can help with the vision, and also this is the vitamin that usually added together with for the fortified milk, because it often remove, or it often might be replaced during the removal of milk fat in low fat or skim milk. So
That's new to me.
that's why vitamin A is added for the fortified milk. And then we also have like vitamin D3 and folic acid. This one is focuses because of most Malaysians have deficiencies in having this kind of vitamin. For example, because of the sun exposure, many people think that we actually have like a very sunny, that people can easily go out and everything. But the thing is, people actually
Don't go out.
don't go out, prefer to sit inside. And then because of our busy lifestyle also, we usually don't have like any physical activity schedule for our daily life, right?
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah, I was about to ask you as well about the vitamin D part, and that's very true, right? It's like the easiest way, and something that we in Asia can be so grateful that we have that exposure, right? Imagine people who maybe have winter very long, they might not actually that exposure that much, but then a lot of us choose not to be active, or choose not to go out. Yeah, so I think that's a very important point that you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, like, Fatin, other than the vitamin D, calcium that you mentioned just now, is there any other vitamins that are, usually added in the fortified milk?
Okay, just now we said it's a long list of vitamins that we can see, right? So the most usually found vitamin in that list is vitamin B. We have vitamin B1, B6, B3, right? So for example, for vitamin B1, thiamine, this one is to support energy and also nerve function. And we also have this kind of vitamin to be found in whole grains and legumes. But you can see Malaysians, we don't really take so much of whole grain, even though Malaysian Dietary Guideline asks us to take the grains, half of the grains that we take is from the whole grain. For example, if the most clear one that we can see from the market, if you choose like paratha or bread, right? So from paratha or bread, for example, we have like a very famous paratha brand that covers like a lot of options for paratha. There is high protein, whole grain, so you can choose directly. It will shows whole grain paratha, whole meal paratha. Also same for the bread also. So we can just I think there's no issue for us to pick the whole grain in the market, because usually the marketing will emphasize, they will label it as a whole grain product. And then other than vitamin B1, there's also vitamin B3 that is popular for fortified milk. This vitamin B3 is important to convert food into energy, which we can find in fish and also poultry. And to emphasize about this as well, because not so many Malaysians love to eat fish, especially fatty fish. So fatty fish also need to be included as part of our healthy diet. So if let's say you not regularly taking poultry or fish, especially for vegetarian, this one also might be a good option, alternative to take a fortified milk, because you not only get the vitamin B3 but vitamin B12 also. That is important for the red blood cells and nerve health.
Understand. Yeah, but I think the question is now is like vegetarian, maybe they still take milk, right? But for vegan, that could be like another question or another discussion. That will be like very, very deep to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you said about this, I feel like if I didn't know anything much about nutrition, I would be like, wow, there's a lot of lists, and sometimes I don't even know what is the function of that vitamins. And I don't know why I actually buy, or the need of me looking into that, nutrition level. But at least now, for the listeners or the audiences, right, when you start looking into the nutrition level, you start reading it, maybe now you can relate better why there's a vitamin B6, B12, B1. There's so many different vitamins, and each of them carry a different function. And that's why it's being fortified in milk to give an added values to the people, right? Yeah, I think it's a very good thing for us to actually go deeper into it. It's a very simple example like Fatin gave just now, I think, about vitamin B3. It's important for converting food into energy. I mean, like, it's a very simple explanation statement, but it's super important.
True. And then when we are speaking about fortified meat, right, we are not saying that the best meat is always the one that being added by nutrients, but the one that you should seek, of course, is the best according to your needs. So usually people go for fortified meal because sometimes we don't get it from the whole food, and people don't know they don't actually get the from the whole food. So if let's say you haven't explored what is the taste of fortified meat, maybe you can just search low fat with the fortified meat and try, because you can get the added nutrients, because this is not something that is familiar to us whether we want to go with the fortified meat or not. There's not like a much concern about that yet. So if you haven't explored, you just can try and let me know what's your thought about that.
That's a good one. Let's go into the second part of our topic, right? Because we've been talking about these micronutrients and its importance in our daily life, you know. A very good example that you gave just now as well, when we go into the market, how to differentiate fortified meal and also regular meal in terms of the list and everything. Now we shift into the topic of sarcopenia and aging, right? And we want to debunk some of the myths that we have about sarcopenia, which I believe that if you guys go into our post on Instagram, you can actually see it as well. Some of the things that we try to bring it up. Like, for example, elderly people don't need more protein because their bodies have difficulty digesting it. And then maybe also some of it, people with muscle loss actually need to take protein supplements. So I think, Fatin, like, maybe you just want to share, you know, like what are the common myths about this sarcopenia and aging that we can actually educate and tell people, because maybe it's not even a myth, maybe it's, you know, misconception.
When we talk about sarcopenia and aging, because I don't usually handle clients from the elderly population, so what I see might be the root causes is actually on how we normalizing the protein sources in our diets as we age. So the misconception is primarily on the protein source as the intake that we need to take, not only for a specific needs. For example, if you're an athlete or if you are hitting the gym, you need to take the extra protein, or if you are an elderly, you need to take the extra protein. We need to know that protein is for everyone, despite whoever you are, what kind of groups and age you are, you need the protein. And we often see that as people age, protein is underappreciated because there is a lack of diversity from the options, and people just don't normalize taking the protein as their daily diet. For example, we can see that if you are going to opt for seafood as the alternative of your protein source for lunch or dinner, rather than having a chicken, usually people opt for a less number of prawns that they should take to have on their plate, rather than the number of the prawn that they should take to achieve the amount of the protein that they should consume. Because the one of the reason is because of the price lah. For example, if for the prawn, you need to take around 4 to 5 prawn to equal for one.
Macam maybe like breast of
chicken, right? But then people take a lesser number of prawn, and people don't really think that this one is actually not enough for them. Similarly to plant-based protein, especially in Malay community, this is often overlooked because we don't really have a diversity of the menu that we are normalized with that actually good for our taste bud, right? So we can actually try to explore more diverse of the menu that use tempeh and tofu. And I believe there is a lot of nutritionists and dietitians trying to incorporate tempeh and tofu to match with our Malaysian style of cooking. So we can check it out from their page. And we try to normalize that, and we try to actually cook and taste how we can modify it according to our preferences. And as we age, maintaining muscle mass becomes critical because it helps us to prevent our muscle loss. And we found that there's a study in 2023 in older adults at Klang Valley where there is 1 in 3 Malaysians aged 60 and above suffer from sarcopenia. And this is something that is very concerning because, of course, we want to avoid sarcopenia, especially among our population. So according to the MDG, for this kind of population, older adults, they need to take around 10 to 50% of their total daily calorie intake. And we are talking about total daily calorie intake, it based on the sex. For example, male, they need to take around 2010 kilocalorie. Meanwhile, for the female, they need to take around 1780 kilocalorie. So not only the macronutrient, which is the protein, even the number of the calorie that we are taking as we age is sometimes going decrease because of our appetite issue, because
and maybe
of
like
our
denture issue.
yeah, dental issues, and then sometimes the environment, we are living like alone or maybe with our partner only, right? So the regular meal time that we might have when we are younger is shifting as according to our age and so on. So this is something that might be the root cause also. And when it comes to milk specifically, as we age, we can see that there is a cultural normalization where our people tend to take like coffee or tea compared to milk when they have the lunch, dinner, breakfast and something like that. So in order for us to try taking more protein source, which is from the milk, we can add together with our coffee and tea and try to avoid the excess sugar from the creamer and also the
sugar,
the
itself,
sugar.
right? And sugar is getting more expensive, by the way.
Yeah.
We're starting to check it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's an important point where we tend to overlook, because I feel like tea and coffee culture, it's like already a culture, which means that people can drink maybe 2 or 3 times per day, right? Rather than just kosong or like empty.
It's like a very common menu drinks that is flexible. We can find everywhere.
Exactly.
And even there's a lot of a convenient option where people just open the sachet and people think that it is the most delicious drink that they can take, right?
That's true, that's true. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what Fatin is trying to emphasize here as well is that our protein intake actually reduce, especially when we start to age. And when our protein intake reduce, that's the part where increase the chances of us getting sarcopenia. And what she's trying to suggest here is that in our culture, food, for example, right, our daily life, why not we adapt into adding this kind of like enriched fortified milk, right? Enriched milk into our common drinks like tea and coffee, right? At least we get that protein at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just try your best to take the extra protein whenever that you can, so that you can actually get the protein according to your needs.
And eventually prevent sarcopenia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important point. I think there's also this misconception or like myth about, people with muscle loss need to take protein supplements. Which means that we buy that big supplements and then we add and stuff like that. So how would you, talk about this?
First of all, I think listening to the question, what I want to emphasize is how you actually define you have the muscle loss. Is it valid through the diagnosis or how? So if you really think that you need the protein supplements according to the diagnosis received by the blood test or anything or referred by the doctor, then you can go ahead with the protein supplements. But if you think that you might have issue with protein muscle loss and everything, but you don't really know you actually have that issue or not, don't go for supplement directly. Because it's quite an oversimplified statement for the issue that people tend to overlook. Whatever, when we say extra protein, you visualize the protein supplements. So in Malaysia, when we are speaking about older adults, we can see the reference from Malaysian Dietary Guideline for older adults, where the protein supplement can provide a convenient option, but it's not necessary for everyone. So you can see from the reference, many whole foods actually are excellent source of the protein, including the lean meat, fishes, eggs, dairy products, and whenever possible, choose the whole food first, because it's not only provide the essential nutrients, but also contributes to your overall dietary needs. Maybe you want to aim for extra protein, but actually there are added nutrients in the whole foods. Of course, it comes from the whole foods. It gives more nutrients than you actually think that you aim for.
Understand. Yeah, and I think referring back to our previous discussion as well, for this particular special episode, we invited physiotherapists, and it's also important that not only from diet part but also the exercise part that we need to make sure that we take into consideration, which is the strength training. It is also very important for us to maintain the muscle mass by doing this strength training as well, to make sure that we stimulate the muscle growth, improve our strength, because at the end of the day, as we're getting older, all of this strength, all this muscle will start to lose, and the only way for us to do it is to keep it, to maintain it by doing that strength training.
And verbally, people might think that strength training may sounds like very hard, or maybe like you need specific equipments to do the strength training. So as we age, actually, maybe what we can see from our community daily, as they age, they tend to do the gardening, planting. They do the house chores differently from the way that they had before. So actually, from these simple movements also can help you to get the strength training. You can have like a gardening, planting, lifting pots, or maybe like clearing grass. Just do the simple movement to help you build strength to your muscle.
Yeah, example like even you angkat the pot, right? You might actually do like a squat as well. So that's some sort of like a like exercise as well for you to stimulate the muscle growth. Yeah, I think I never thought of that actually.
You don't have to subscribe for your PT until you get older if you don't want to.
Exactly.
But if you want to, of course lah, very recommended. But if you don't feel like going to the gym until you are getting older, this simple movement is important to maintain your muscle.
Understand. Okay. So another misconception, or like the myth, right? Muscle loss is we can't avoid muscle loss because everyone sort of like eventually gets sarcopenia. So the question is that, is it true that everybody will get sarcopenia? And then is it true that muscle loss won't happen among younger people, which is like under 50 years old? So maybe we want to debunk and make younger people to be more aware and afraid that actually maybe it can affect them as well.
Just now we are speaking about the lifestyle of the older adults, and now when we are shifting to the younger individuals, we see how the younger community live. Actually, most of our younger individuals, particularly those in their 30s, in their very peak career era, where they tend to be more sedentary and lack of physical activity. Actually, this is not something that I try to generalize, but this is what we have in our current scenario. We have issues where our clients come and tell us it's very hard to work out if there's no people monitoring and everything, right? We need to have that in mind, that we might think that physical workout is something that we need to schedule, but actually it can be a lifestyle if we have the capacity to try to do it. So research indicates that muscle mass actually begins to decline as early as our 30s. And a study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that individuals can lose approximately 3 to 5% of their muscle mass per decade after the age of 30 if they don't engage with physical activity.
3 to 5%.
Yes, and the factors contributing to this problem is first, of course, the inactivity itself, and then second is the poor nutrition, because it totally intertwined about physical activity and nutrition. And then the third one is relates to our younger people in their era of a busy lifestyle also, where they tend to have stress. So if you do have a chronic stress, this can be one of the factors too. So when we are normalizing the sedentary life, this can contribute to the muscle atrophy, where our muscles shrink and weaken over time. And this is very worrying. So I hope that if we have this visual in our mind, we can get the idea to at least try to do any physical activity that we may have a capacity to do to improve daily. Because our muscle tissue is metabolically active, meaning it burns calorie more than the fat tissue. This means having more muscle can actually help with weight management and also metabolic health, which improve your overall health. But when you actually don't do the physical activity and you don't take enough protein or micronutrients that help with your muscle, this can actually deplete your overall health.
I think to simplify what Fatin is trying to tell here is that the lesser the muscle we have, you know, our metabolism will start to go down, and that's where a lot of people are having weight issue, and then some people complain, hey, you know, like I've tried diet when I was 20s and it was so easy for me to lose weight, but now that I'm in 30s and 40s, it seems harder. So I think that's the way we want to simplify to the audience to understand about this metabolism stuff, you know. Okay. Is there any other things that you think is important to, you know, emphasize to the public?
I think one of the other thing that we might want to ponder is when we age, we start to be more independent, right? So of course, if we start to incorporate our physical activity, it can help us to build the strength also, and this actually can help us to perform our daily activity better.
Understand. Okay. Wow. It's actually not a very difficult topic, I would say, but I feel like this is a general thing, and it's like a basic needs, as what you said just now. You know, like protein is not something that we are supposed to fight about it, because it's a basic needs that we need on a daily life. And I really hope that from our discussion today, like people can imagine how important it is protein, you know, to avoid this sarcopenia, and how important it is micronutrients in our daily life, you know, because each of it plays its own role. And it's also nice to know, you know, like we can easily get from not just chicken, but we can actually get from tempeh, tofu, where we basically almost every day can actually get it, you know, easily. So yeah, the question now, Fatin, what are your tips? You know, what are your advices in incorporating this healthy lifestyle? Because we understand that protein we can get from all these natural sources, but at the same time, if we relate back with this fortified milk, how can we actually make a practical advice in incorporating into our healthy lifestyle?
Okay, I like the word practical. So what you are going to do after you listen to this
Yeah.
podcast?
Directly, okay? Yeah.
So maybe first thing you can consider to upgrade your cooking ingredients. For example, if you normally have like a santan in your dishes, you can shift that, have an alternative, or maybe like an option. If you still want to use your santan, you can have another option. Maybe during your special menu, you can use fortified meat in your curry, sauces, or soup to add the creaminess. And this one also can help to enrich your dishes with more nutrients. And then second, try to replace the sugary drinks with fortified milk or milk-based beverages. For example, if you normally have the 3-in-1 or 2-in-1, or maybe like a coffee or tea that you usually get from the restaurant, you can try to opt for fortified milk when you are at home, so this one can avoid you from getting the excess sugar. And maybe the last one, during the festive season or family gathering where the special day, the celebration happens, you can prepare a simple recipes that incorporate this fortified meat into your desserts like pudding ataupun jelly, which can be both fun and also educational for the younger generations. They see us to try to use the better ingredient for their cooking for the menu, so they can to have like a new cultural adaptation when they grow up in the future. And this also can be put as the staples if you are making like kueh or pancakes, to replace not to replace, to add together with the rice flour.
Understand. Yeah. I like the part when you say try, you know, like instead of like directly replace, or you know, like directly saying to people you must. It's a very important, you know, in nutrition and dietetics practice to choose the right word when we educate or giving awareness to people. When we say try, it's like we understand that if you want to replace fortified milk and santan, of course, the taste is not going to be the same, right?
So if you haven't tried, you never explore and you never know. So you just try.
Yeah. So I think that's an important outcome that we want to tell people as well. We understand, we hear you, we know your struggle, and it's not easy because it has been our staple, it has been our food culture. But try. That's what they say. Try. You know, she got that intonation as well. Try. You know, try to replace these sugary drinks with fortified milk. You know, your cooking ingredients, your cooking methods. It's all about trying it, because if you didn't try, you will never know. All right. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much Fatin. Is there anything that you wanna share, or anything that you feel that you wanna say but you might miss it out or something.
Okay, maybe a simple reminder, because if you want to try fortified meat, but you don't really know which milk is the fortified meat in the market, so you can go back to the tips. You can see the nutrition label, which one have the lentil list, so that you can simply get the idea that the lentil list is because of the added nutrients like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin B, and everything. So if you don't see the vitamin B, vitamin A in the list, so maybe that's the regular milk.
Understand. Yeah, that's a very practical one. So everyone should be more aware now if you go to a supermarket, you know, going for grocery shopping and everything. So yeah, we will recommend you to drink at least 2 glass of fortified milk per day. Or maybe if you buy HL, you can take 2 glasses of HL super milk and you can already get like 20 gram of protein. Because 1 glass is already 10 gram, 2 glasses already 20 gram. Yeah, so that's definitely a good additional to the natural protein sources that you can take daily. But yeah, Fatin, it's been a very insightful conversation, I would say. You know, we actually talk a very simple topic in our perception because we are from this background, right? But from listener perspective, it's a very important thing to know that even though it's micro, but it matters.
Yeah, it is some things that we tend to overlook.
Exactly. And as what you said just now earlier, there are certain things that we oversimplify.
Mm.
Yeah, so those are the things that we hope that all of you get the main points about the benefits of fortified meal, and then, you know, what are the truths behind some of the common misconceptions that we have about sarcopenia and also aging. It can in fact, you know, affect us as a younger population, younger generation. So that's why we are really try so hard. And as you can see now, we are also young people, you know, like among dietitian and nutritionists, because we want to educate people at our age to start now, to start having the awareness now that don't wait until we dah settle down. Masa tu, like, probably we won't even care that much anymore, you know, because we don't have time. But now it's the right time for us to start early. So yeah, Fatin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And again, thank you so much HL Supermilk for sponsoring this special episode. To listeners and audiences, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to Not Only Diet Talk for more health and nutrition discussions. Thank you so much and see you guys again. Bye-bye.